Welcome to Everything Football. Now, I know there's still like more than 2 weeks before Matchday 3 gets started, but I know some of you, if not most of you, have already started building up your teams in terms of Wildcard and Limitless. And for these 2 weeks, we'll be trying out different drafts and everything. And one of the things you have to take into account is the fixtures. Which teams have the best fixtures? Which teams have the hardest fixtures? So that is what we are going to be focusing on this video. So I will be talking about two specific teams that I think you probably know about already, and also at the end I'll be talking about a group that I actually think we definitely need to target. There's going to be a lot of goals and a lot of returns in that group. So first up, we have to start with these guys, Bayern Munich. Now Bayern Munich, obviously, in the Champions League, 2-0 victories against Barcelona and Inter Milan. We've been talking about it being a group of death for them, or for everyone else, group of death, blah blah blah. For Bayern Munich, it's never a group of death, especially in the Champions League. They always come up on top. They made that game at San Siro against Inter Milan look so easy, and the game against Barcelona in Germany, they made it look so easy as well. Clean sheets in both of the games, could be 3 or 4 in any of those games. So definitely a team to watch. And next up for them is Victoria Pilsen at home and then away from home. There's so many advantages about this game. First of all, they actually play on the Tuesday, the first game on the Tuesday in Matchday 3. So in case you're worried about who's going to start, is it going to be Delete who's starting? Is it going to be Upamecano? Will someone like Lucas Hernandez be fit for that game? Will Pavard or Mazraoui start? In case you have all those questions, it's going to be answered for you, because the deadline does not hit until we see Bayern Munich's team news in Matchday 3. So that is a huge benefit. We'll see who starts up front. We'll get to see if the likes of Mane are starting, and they're playing against Victoria Pilsen, a team that conceded 5 goals away at Barcelona, and they also did not score against Inter Milan. Inter Milan won that game comfortably away from home 2-0. Next up, Bayern Munich. I would expect Bayern Munich in these games combined, I would expect them to score like 7-8 goals combined. So it could be like 4-0, 4-0, or maybe even more than that. So Bayern Munich are definitely a team to watch for Matchday 3 and 4. Even in Matchday 5 and 6, I think they'll easily go through with maybe 5 wins and a draw, something like that. So definitely a team to watch. So I've talked about their players before. We all know the likes of Musiala, maybe Mane, if you're on a limitless chip and you're sure he's going to start, maybe. Obviously Sane has to be there. We'll be taking a look at the likes of Kimmich, Alphonso Davies. So many good assets to have in their team. And I think if you're playing your wildcard or limitless, you have to have at least 3 Bayern Munich players. And even if you're not playing any of your chips and you already had like 1 Bayern Munich player, I think your next transfers need to be like, you need to at least bring 1 Bayern Munich player to make it 2. That's the minimum you need to have, because those fixtures, I can easily see them keeping 2 clean sheets and scoring a lot of goals. So Bayern Munich is definitely a team that you guys should be going for in Matchday 3. Now, listen, I do know, like, in their league, believe it or not, Bayern Munich have not won 4 games in their league. Yes, 4 games without a win for Bayern Munich in their league, 3 draws and a loss. They recently just lost to Augsburg, and all the big boys started, Mane, Sane, all these guys. But in the league, they've been all over the place. But in the Champions League, the likes of Muller turn into something different. So Bayern Munich is the first team we definitely need to watch out for. Next up is Manchester City, for sure. Manchester City up against Copenhagen at home and then Copenhagen away. Now for Copenhagen, they could drew with Sevilla. They did not concede a goal against Sevilla, 0-0, but Sevilla haven't been great this season, and in the first game they lost heavily to Dortmund. So Man City have been very, very good so far this season, especially in the Champions League. They absolutely thumped Sevilla away from home, and they got 2 goals later on against Dortmund. And in the league, they are currently top of the table at the time of recording. The least they could be by the time this match day hits is maybe second. Now before this match day, they will be facing Manchester United in Matchday 3. So there is a slight chance that they might play all the big boys against Man United and then maybe decide to rest a couple in the Champions League. But what I've always thought about Guardiola and Man City, they want to win the Champions League. And they rather actually rest players in the Premier League and play them in the Champions League than resting players in the Champions League and playing them in the Premier League. That's how I see it. But obviously, since they're playing Man United right before Matchday 3, we have to take that into consideration. But since the likes of Ruben Diaz didn't start last match, I would expect him to start, and someone like a Haaland will probably start as well too. So we have to watch out for them as well. I think they'll easily score 7-8 goals in both of them. Not both of those games. That would be crazy. Like maybe 3 and then maybe 4. And the good thing about them as well, in match day 4, we actually do get to see their team news as well. Just like Bayern in match day 3, we get to see City's team news in match day 4 before the deadline hits. So that will definitely help us with our decisions. We'll get to know whether Foden is starting, whether Mahrez is the one starting, whether the defenders have been rested or Cancelo has been rested. That is the benefit about these two teams, or benefit of these two teams. So Man City definitely love them as an option. They are scoring goals, they are keeping clean sheets. So it's literally up to you. Just like with Bayern Munich, it's up to you whether you're going to go with all 3 players, whether you're going to go for 2 attackers and 1 defender, or 2 defenders, 1 attacker. There's literally a lot of options. I'd not be surprised if both teams score a lot of goals and keep clean sheets in both games. It's just how about who you go for and how the luck falls for you. So Man City is the second team. And then third, I'm actually going for a group. As I said in the intro, I'm going to go for a whole group, and that is Group A: Liverpool, Rangers, Napoli, and Ajax. Now, so far this season, as I say that right in the beginning of this Champions League season, when I was doing my first video, I said I'm expecting Group A to have a lot of goals. That is what I said, and that is actually how it has turned out to be. Ajax scoring 4-0 against Rangers in match day 1, Liverpool losing 4-1 at Napoli, and then second match day there was a 2-1 and a 3-0. So literally at least 3 goals in every single game so far in that group. That is what we want to see. We might not love the defenders or anything like that, but the forwards definitely a must watch. Now, the Ajax against Napoli, I definitely love that game, especially for goals. Ajax game so far, 2 games, they've seen 7 goals. Napoli, 2 games, those 2 games have seen 8 goals. So in the 2 games, the 2 games or the 4 games involving the 2 teams, that is so confusing. The 4 games involving the 2 teams, we have seen 15 goals, and I'm expecting more of the same. Like, I'd not be surprised if we saw Ajax 3, Napoli 2 next time, and then when they go to Napoli 3, Ajax 2. Like, we could see 4 or 5 goals in both of those games, and I'll definitely be targeting most of their forward players, like Kvaratskhelia as well. He has been slightly disappointing, but he did manage an assist in one of the match days. But all the forward players, Zielinski, the likes of Bergwijn from Ajax, I think they're all still very good options. And even if you're playing your limitless, I know it's very tempting to just say, you know what, I'll go for the big boys only, Sane, Salah, and forget about the other guys. But when you look at players like Kudus and players like that, cheaper players, and Kvaratskhelia, they're still delivering points, and I think they will do well against each other. Maybe not for the defenders unless they have an attacking threat, but for the defenders, I think they will be conceding goals. Recovery points, remember, could work for Champions League games, but for me, I will be targeting the attackers in that group. The other game, Liverpool against Rangers have been terrible so far in the Champions League. Liverpool got back on track in the second match day against Ajax, winning that game 2-1, and against Rangers at home and then away from home, especially at Anfield, I would expect them to score at least 3 goals. So if you're playing a limitless chip, the likes of Salah and Diaz are all of a sudden options, and if you're not playing a limitless, you're playing your wildcard, obviously Diaz, you can still afford him. If we get to know whether the likes of Nunes are starting, we need to keep an eye on him as well. All those players, defenders as well. Rangers have not scored a goal in the Champions League so far this season, so all of a sudden Liverpool's defenders are looking good for this one, especially someone like a Trent. If he can get an attacking return and also a clean sheet, all of a sudden you're looking at 12-13 points. So those are the teams you should be keeping an eye out for. So Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Group A in general: Liverpool, Rangers, Napoli, and Ajax. So mostly Liverpool assets, and also Napoli and Ajax, both assets, attacking assets. So that is the match day 3 fixture watch. Let me know any teams that have missed out in terms of best fixtures. The other topic I really wanted to know from you guys is Chelsea and AC Milan's group. Which team do you think will beat the other? Because for me, I try to avoid any of the assets, the likes of Giroud, the likes of Chilwell, Cucurella, any major returns like 10 points, 12 points. We could see the odds maybe being 6 at most. So I'll be trying to avoid those fixtures in that group. AC Milan, Chelsea, AC Milan, both of them. So depends on you. Let me know what you're going to go for. So if you haven't played your wildcard and you're thinking about it, I've done a video on that. Click on the video on the left. And if you're playing a limitless chip, click on the video on the right.